Namaskar, everybody, and welcome to the Gita Satsang. Today, on this auspicious occasion of Gita Jayanti, we are having this Satsang. So, it's our rare fortune that we are having today. So, we will start with our usual prarthana. By the Guru's grace and the will of Sri Krishna, we have all assembled for this Gita Satsang. May we have their guidance to be able to learn and adopt the things which will help us to grow spiritually. Let us chant the shlokas. Vasudevasutam devam kamsachanuramardanam devaki paramanandam krishnam vande jagadgurum krishnaya vasudevaya haraye paramatmane pranatah kleshanashaya govindaya namo namaha नमोऽस्तु ते व्यासविशालबुद्धे पुल्लारविन्दायतपत्रनेत्र येन त्वया भारततैलपूर्णः प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयप्रदीपः रामानुजदयापात्रं ज्ञानवैराग्यभूषणं श्रीमद्वेङ्कटनाथार्यं वन्दे वेदान्तदेशिकम् यो नित्यमच्युतपदाम्बुजयुग्मरुग्म व्यामोहतस्तदितराणि तृणाय मेने अस्मद्गुरोर्भगवतोऽस्य दयैकसिन्धोः रामानुजस्य चरणौ शरणं प्रपद्ये. So offering prayers at the lotus feet of the Acharyas, let us continue with our satsang. As I already mentioned, today is the auspicious occasion of Gita Jayanti. It is also a very, beneficial kind of day because it is Ekadashi, which is called as Mokshada Ekadashi. And in terms of the Sri Rangam calendar and people who follow the Vaishnava Sampradaya, today is also the auspicious occasion of Kaishika Ekadashi. I think I've talked before about this, but anyway, I will tell briefly about it again after we have done our Parayanam. So because today is Gita Jayanti, we will be doing recitation of the 15th chapter, which is called as Purushottama Yoga. So one of our sadhakas who is attending our satsangs very regularly is my colleague Sri Tulsi Ram. So he has very kindly agreed to offer this recitation as part of his seva. So he will chant loudly and all of us will be on mute and we can do chanting by ourselves with our book or whatever. If we have the text of that 15th chapter with us, we can follow along silently. We'll be in mute mode and we will do the chanting. So I request Tulsi Ram Avare, please unmute and you can start the recitation.
Okay, madam. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Atha Panchadashodhyayaha Purushottama Yogo Nama Shri Bhagavanuvacha Urdhmulamadhashakham Ashwatham Prahuravyayam Chandamsi Yasya Parnani Yastam Veda Savedavit Atashtotham Prasrutastasya Shakhaha Gunapravriddha Vishaya Pravalaha Adhascha Mulanyanu Karmanubandhini Manushya Rupamasya Tathopalabhyate Nanto na chadir na cha sampradishtha Ashvattamenam suvirudhamulam Asanga shastrena dridhena chitva Tatah padam tat parimarkitavyam Yasmin gatana nivartanti bhuyaha Tameva chadyam purusham prapadye Yatah pravrittih prasrata purani Nirmanamohajitasangadosha Adhyatmanitya vinivrittakamaha Dvandvairvimukta sukhadukkhasangnihi Gacchantyamoodhaः padamavyayam tat Na tat bhasayate suryah न शशाङ्को न पावकः यद्गत्वा न निवर्तन्ते तद्धाम परमं मम ममैवांशो जीवलोके जीवभूतः सनातनः मनःषष्ठानीन्द्रियाणि प्रकृतिस्थानि कर्षति शरीरं यदवाप्नोति यच्चाप्युत्क्रामतीश्वरः गृहीत्वैतानि संयाति वायुर्गन्धानि वाशयात् श्रोत्रं चक्षुस्पर्शनं च रसनं घ्राणमेव च अधिष्ठाय मनश्चायं विषयान् उपसेवते उत्क्रामन्तो स्थितो वापि भुञ्जानं वा गुणान्वितं विमूढानानुपश्यन्ति पश्यन्ति ज्ञानचक्षुषः यतन्तो योगिनश्चैनं पश्यन्त्यात्मन्यवस्थितम् यतन्तोऽप्यकृतात्मानो नैनं पश्यन्त्यचेतसः यदादित्यगतं तेजः जगद्भासमतेऽखिलं यच्चन्द्रमसि यच्चाग्नौ तत्तेजो विद्धि मामकम् गामाविश्य च भूतानि धारयाम्यहमोजसा पुष्णामि चौषधीः सर्वाः सोमो भूत्वा रसात्मकः अहं वैश्वानरो भूत्वा प्राणिनां देहमाश्रितः प्राणापानसमायुक्तः पचाम्यन्नं चतुर्विधं सर्वस्य चाहं हृदि सन्निविष्टः मत्तः स्मृतिर्ज्ञानमपोहनं च वेदैश्च सर्वै अहमेव वेद्यो वेदान्तकृद्वेदविदेव चाहम् द्वाविमौ पुरुषो लोके क्षरश्चाक्षर एव च क्षरः सर्वाणि भूतानि कूटस्थोऽक्षर उच्यते उत्तमः पुरुषस्त्वन्यः परमात्मेत्युदाहृतः यो लोकत्रयमाविश्य बिभर्तव्यय ईश्वरः यस्माक्षरमतीतोऽहम् अक्षरादपि चोत्तमः अतोऽस्मि लोके वेदे च प्रथितः पुरुषोत्तमः यो मामेवमसम्मूढो जानाति पुरुषोत्तमम् स सर्वविद्भजति माम् सर्वभावेन भारत इति गुह्यतमं शास्त्रम् इदमुक्तं मया नघ एतत् बुद्धा बुद्धिमान् स्यात् कृतकृत्यश्च भारत ॐ तत्सदिति श्रीमद्भगवद्गीतासु उपनिषत्सु ब्रह्मविद्यायां योगशास्त्रे श्रीकृष्णार्जुनसंवादे पुरुषोत्तमयोगो नाम पञ्चदशोऽध्यायः।
Thank you very much. Dhanyavada. This was
Thank you, madam.
it was very nicely chanted by Sri Tulsira. So, having done the Parayanam of this chapter as representative of the complete Bhagavad Gita, we will now move on further. As I mentioned, today is the day which is considered as Kaishika Ekadashi. So, this whole story about Kaishika Ekadashi is narrated in the Kaishika Puranam. Now, this Kaishika Purana is one part of the Varaha Purana. we know about the avatara which Lord Sriman Narayana took as Varaha, and in that boar form, in the Sukara form, he came and lifted up Bhumi, who was what you say submerged in the deluge, in the pralaya. I mean, she had been taken away rather by Hiranyaksha and kept hidden in the ocean, and Varaha rescued her and brought her back to her rightful place. So at that time, when Bhumi Devi is asking Varaha for an upadesha, that how my children, how these people all these human beings on earth what can they do to get to your Paramapada, how they can reach you, how can they attain your lotus feet. At that time, while narrating all things to her, Varaha Perumal does some puja to her. That is what is available to us as the Varaha Purana. And in that, there is one particular part which is called as Kaishika Purana. This relates to one of the devotees of the Lord, and Varaha is telling Bhumi Devi that this is my great devotee called Nam Paduvan. So, Nam Paduvan, Nam means our, mine, and Paduvan means somebody who is singing praises of me. So, he is my bhakta, he is my singer. In that sense, he is called as Nam Paduvan. Now, to narrate that story of Nam Paduvan, all these things happened in a place called Tirukurungudi, and this temple till now, this on the day of Kaishika, Ekadashi, and Dwadashi, in those intervening hours between the Ekadashi and Dwadashi, this entire event is enacted in this temple with lot of devotional fervor. In Sri Rangam also it is done. So what is this whole story about? Now there was this great devotee of the Lord called Nampaduan, and he belonged to the Panar caste. So he was like among the people who were considered as being of a lower, inferior kind of a birth, and they were not allowed to enter inside the temple. However, what would happen is he was a great bhakta of the Lord. So, with that instrument in his hand, like a veena, a single stringed instrument like that, every time on the day of Ekadashi, he would go to the temple of this Tirukurungudi Nambi, Lord Sriman Narayana, who is there in the Vaishnava Nambi form. So, he would go to that temple and he would sing there outside. He would stand outside the temple because he was not permitted to go inside, and he didn't want to protest against those rules. So, following whatever was allowed for him, he used to stand outside the temple, and standing there the entire night of Ekadashi, he would be awake. He would do Jagarane, and he would sing praises of the Lord, and he would offer all prayers to the Lord. And next, when the Dwadashi dawned, then he would go back to his place. So he would fast the entire day, and he would also stay awake the entire night singing the glories of the Lord. So this Lord was so pleased that now what happens in all the temples, we know that in all the Vishnu temples, there is the Garuda Gambha, that stamba with the pillar with Garuda, which represents Garuda. So that is exactly straight out from the Perumal Sannidhi. The Lord Sannidhi is there, and exactly opposite to that, outside on the outermost layer, we have this Garuda pillar. Now, what happened in this case was, because this Nampaduan was standing there near that entrance outside and singing, the Lord could hear his singing, but he couldn't see Nampaduan. Now, the Lord had a very strong desire that this great bhakta of mine is coming and he's singing so much for me on every Ekadashi. I want to be able to see him. So, Lord himself actually asked Garuda to slightly move aside. And that is the reason why, if you visit this Tirukurungudi temple, you will find that Garuda Gamba is not exactly opposite to the Lord Sannidhi, but it is slightly moved to one side. And that, it is told, was happened because Garuda moved. And why did Garuda move? Because the Lord expressed a desire that he wants to see his Bhakta Nampaduan, who is standing outside and singing for him. So one day, on the day of this Ekadashi, he was in this Ekadashi, which comes, a month before Vaikuntha Ekadashi. So on that day, this Nampaduan, as usual, he was going to the temple. As he was passing by, there was a Brahma Rakshas who suddenly caught him. You can see the pictures in this photo which is being displayed here. So that Rakshasa, that Brahma Rakshas said, stopped him, and he said, "Oh, you look like a very great person. So I want you to, I will eat you. And I've been hungry from many months, and I have not had anything to eat. So now I'm going to eat you up." So this Nampadwan says, "Okay, you can eat me. I have no problem with that, but I have to fulfill my vrata. I'm going to sing in the temple to the Lord. And after I finish my seva of offering my songs to the Lord, I will definitely come back." So this Brahma Rakshas laughs and says, "You think I'm a fool or what? Anybody who runs away from me by telling an excuse like this, is anyone so foolish that they will come back and offer themselves to me? No, I'm pretty sure that you will run away by telling me that you're going to the temple. I am not going to wait for you to come back and all that. I'm going to devour you now itself." So then Nampadwan says, "No, no, definitely I will come back." And then he makes a series of pratignas. He makes a series of vows. He says that if I do like this, XYZ, if I do like this, whatever papa comes to a person who behaves in this manner, let that papa come to me if I don't come back. Like this, he goes on making a series of vows. But that Brahma Rakshas is not, taken up by any of those. Finally, this Nampadwan says that if I do not come back to you, let me get the papa of let me get the papa which comes to a person who considers Vasudeva, the Lord, Sriman Narayana himself, to be equivalent to all the other devatas. Let that papa come to me. When he said that, this Brahma Rakshas was really shocked, because that's such a terrible vow to say. Because the kind of papa that comes to someone who considers Vasudeva the same as all the other inferior deities, that is a very ghor kind of papa. We should realize that Sriman Narayana is the supreme Lord. He is the creator, the sustainer, and the dissolver of this universe. So, somebody who says that Vasudeva and considers him as being in stature equal to all the other devatas, that is a very ghor papa. So, when this Nampadwan makes that pratigna, he says, "Let that papa come to me if I don't come back to you." Then finally, this Brahma Rakshas is ready to believe him. And he says, "Okay, fine, I will wait for you. You can go and come." So Nampadwan goes to the temple. He stands outside in his usual spot, and he sings all different kinds of songs. He does Nama Sankirtana of the Lord. He sings different songs in praise of the Lord. And finally, he sings a song which is in the raga called Kaishika Raga. So after finishing all his offerings, then he starts on his way back. And now he's decided he's walking back to the spot where he met the Brahma Rakshasa, because he's going to keep his word. He doesn't want to escape from that. All he wanted was the chance to sing for the Lord. So he starts going back. As he's going back, there's an old Brahmana who comes in the way. And he says, what is this? At this time, where are you going? Why are you walking into this forest? He asks. So this Nampadwan narrates to him the whole story. He says like this, there's a Brahma Rakshas there. I had promised him that I will come. So I'm going like that. This old man laughs at him and he says, "What is this? Are you such a big fool? Why should you go and be eaten by the Brahma Rakshas? I will show you another way. You can escape out of this without going past the Brahma Rakshasa. I will show you the way. You run away from here." So Nampaduvan says, "No, no, no, definitely I will not do that. I have given my word to him and I have said I will come there. How can I do that?" And he pushes aside this Brahmana's suggestion, and he very determinedly he goes away. Who was this Brahmana who came? It was actually the Lord himself who came. This Tirukurungudi Nambi Lord himself had come to test the devotion, to test the commitment of this Nampaduvan. So then this Nampaduvan reaches there, and then the Brahma Rakshas is shocked to see him. He says, "I never believed that you would come." Then he says, then so Nampadwan tells him that, "Okay, I have come now. You can eat me, a feast on me, and you fulfill your, you satisfy your hunger." So this Brahma Rakshas says, "No, no, okay, I am hungry and I want to eat, but I think you are a very great soul because you've come back like this. There's no ordinary person would be able to do this. So I'm pretty sure, and you must be a great bhakta of the Lord. So you must have a lot of punyas which you have accumulated by singing all those songs for the Lord. I'm sure you must have got a big store of phalas which you got. You got a lot of punya because of those songs which you sang to the Lord. So please give me those phalas. And if you give me the phala of what you sang, I will be able to overcome this Brahma Rakshasa form. And Then Namparvan says, who are you? Why you got into this Brahma Rakshasa form? So he explains that I was actually a very great Brahmana. I was called Soma Sharma, and I was doing lot of dharmic vidhis. I used to do lot of yajna and homa and all that. And I kept doing that. But I had lot of ahankara as well. And because of that ahankara, what happened is I would make mistakes in all those, homas and yajnas when I was doing it. And I had a lot of ego. I felt that I am the one who is doing, I'm so great, I'm doing all this. So because of all those papas that I got and doing wrong things, my ankara made me do mistakes. And because of that, I got this form as a Brahma Rakshasa. The only way for me to get out of this form is if somebody offers me their punyas, then I can get back to my original form. So you give me the punyas. Nampadwan laughs and he says, see, if I had sung those songs to the Lord, by saying that I want a particular phala, I would have some phala to give you. But I had no expectation whatsoever. I didn't want anything from the Lord. I didn't sing it for the sake of any punya. So there is nothing which I have. I myself have not asked for any punya from the Lord. How can I give anything to you when I have not taken anything for singing those songs? What is there with me to give you? Then the Brahma Rakshasa says, no, 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 definitely, whether you have asked or not, the Lord will have kept a lot of punya for you because you have done so much selflessly. Then he keeps arguing like that. And finally he says, okay, which was the last raga that you sang in? So Nampadwan says, I sang in Kaishika raga. Okay, at least give me the benefits which have come out of that one song of yours. So then Nampadwan says, I have nothing to give you. I don't have any benefits. I don't have any phala. But what I can do certainly is that I will pray to the Lord on your behalf. I will pray that the Lord should release you from this form. And he prays. And then this Brahma Rakshas gradually comes back to his original form and he is released from that terrible form as a Brahma Rakshasa. So this is the story of Kaishika Ekadashi. So great a devotee Nampadwan was. He was so-called inferior birth, but see the level of his bhakti, that he never wanted anything from the Lord. He never asked anything from the Lord. It was for the pleasure of the Lord that he would go and stand outside the temple and sing in praise of the Lord. And he had such a conviction that he does not want anything at all from the Lord. And that is why he so confidently knew that he does not have any expectation from the Lord. And although he did not have anything like that to give, but by his prayer, the Lord agreed to free this Brahma Rakshasa from his curse. So that is the power of somebody who is a bhakta of the Lord. So on this auspicious occasion of Gita Jayanti and Kaishika Ekadashi, we have had the good fortune to hear of these things. If any of you ever gets an opportunity, please visit this Tirukurungudi temple, which is in the area of Tamil Nadu near to Tirunelveli. So it is very a big temple, very nicely, very beautiful. The Lord's form is here. So please make sure, and if you can go at the time of around Kaishika Ekadashi, we will get to also see the enactment of this entire episode of the Kaishika Purana. So having said that, let us now move. We will just take up one shloka because today is Gita Jayanti and we have to start the 7th chapter. So we will take up just the first shloka of this 7th chapter. So Shri Bhagavanuvacha Maya Sattamana Partha Yogam Yunjan Madashrayah Asamshayam Samagram Mam Yathagnyasya Tachrunu. So the Lord said, Bhagavan said, with your mind focused on me, O Arjuna, having me for your support and practicing yoga, listen, O Arjuna, to how you can, without doubt, know me fully. So in the last chapter, the last shloka, the 47th shloka of the 6th chapter, we had seen that Krishna had declared. All along he had been talking of many different things, but in the last shloka of the 6th chapter, Krishna had made this declaration. He had said that the yogi who fixes his mind on me, on the Lord, I consider him to be the most superior yogi. So if we look at the journey that Krishna and Arjuna have been making right from the first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, first Krishna explained to Arjuna the greatness of the Atma. So we understood how Atma is different from the body. Then we learned about how one must do karma, how one must do action without attachment to it. Then we learned about how somebody should pursue yoga to get to the stage of Atma Sakshatkara. And now, when Arjuna is about to conclude that Atma Sakshatkara is the greatest thing possible, Krishna suddenly diverts him and tells him that, "Oh Arjuna, your goal is not to get stuck up in just the Atma Anubhava, but to go forward and make the Paramatma the goal of your meditation. Attaining the lotus feet of the Lord should be the goal of your yoga abhyasa." This Atma Prapti, or the state of Kaivalya, where somebody is experiencing the Atma, is like a dead end. There is nothing going further here and there for that person, right? So it is like he has reached there and he is only experiencing the joy from his Atma, and there is nothing else for him further. That joy, no doubt, is a far superior kind of joy compared to worldly pleasures, but still there is nothing beyond that. However, for a bhakta, for a true devotee of the Lord, his goal should be the more superior goal of Paramatma Anubhava, Vaikuntha Prapti, so that he can be in Vaikuntha as a servant of the Lord there also, and always continue to enjoy all the Kalyana Gunas, all the auspicious qualities of the Lord, and to always be in service to him. That is the supreme goal of somebody who is doing yoga abhyasa. That is what Krishna is now telling. Now, Krishna is telling in this shloka that if you focus your mind on me and you keep me as your support, your attention, if it is focused on me alone when you are practicing yoga, without doubt, you can understand me fully. So, when Krishna is saying you can know me means know me, what is my essential nature. So, what do we mean by the Lord's essential nature? There are two aspects to this as per the Acharyas. So, Acharyas explain that when we are talking about the essential nature of the Lord, there are two definite aspects which are separate from each other, and those two make up the Lord's nature. What is that? The first thing is his paratvam, his greatness. So, under this, we have things like he is the Jagat Karana. He is the reason. He is the reason for the existence of this entire universe. He is the one who has created it. He is the one who is the material which has formed the creation. He has done this creation by his sankalpa. So that Jagat Karanatvam, that is his greatness. Then the other thing he has is Ubhayalinga Vishishtam. So he has only gunas. There are no durgunas. There are no blemishes in him. He is only full of all the Kalyana gunas. Then he is the Nitya Vibhuti Nayaka. So what world we are living in, that is called as the Leela Vibhuti. And Nitya Vibhuti is his loka of Sri Vaikuntha. So he is the Nayaka. He is the supreme ruler of that Nitya Vibhuti. He is Sarvagnya. That means he is omniscient. He knows everything. He is Sarvashakta. He is omnipotent. He has all the powers in the universe. He is full of Ananda. He is the form of Ananda itself. And he is Shriyapati. He is the Pati of Shri. He is the Lord of Shri. So these are all his qualities which convey his magnificence, which convey his superior qualities, his supremacy, his greatness is conveyed by these aspects. But then, equally on the other hand, we see that when he takes avatara, when he comes to this world for our sake, then he also shows another aspect of his nature, which is his simplicity. So he has qualities like karunyam. He takes pity on us. He has compassion for us. Then vatsalyam. Vatsalya is the quality of being able to neglect all the, wrong things which are with us and yet love us despite all those blemishes and faults which we have. So he has vatsalyam. Then he has saushilyam. He comes down to our level. We saw in the previous set of qualities that he is so great and yet he comes down to our level and he mingles among us as one of us only. So if we have seen in so many avatars, when Varaha avatara happened, Lord came in the form of a boar, a sukara. A boar is considered as a very inferior animal, and yet he took that form and came to save Bhumi Devi. Then when he came as Rama, he made friends with people like Guha, who was a tribal king. He made friends with Vanaras, monkeys, and he took help from them to rescue Sita. So like this, then when he came as Krishna, in that Krishna avatara, he ran around with all these Gopa Gopis who were so ignorant. So he shows this quality of mingling even with the most ordinary and inferior set of human beings. That is his quality of Saushiliam. And then he is very generous in giving us blessings. So that is his quality of Audaryam. Then he also has qualities like he's Sarva Samashrayan. Sarva Samashrayan means everybody seeks refuge with him. He is Loka Sharanyan. He is someone who saves the entire world, everybody in it. He is having this quality of Pranatarthi Haratvam. He will take away, he will do apaharana of all our sorrows, all our troubles, all problems which we have. So, like this, he has all these qualities. And no matter which quality, which avatara the Lord takes, he never loses any of these qualities. So, that is the greatness of the Lord. And this is what Krishna wants Arjuna to understand. That is what he means by saying that make me the focus of your yoga, focus your attention on me and do yoga, then definitely you will understand me completely. You will understand all my qualities properly. And why he's telling all this? To tell Arjuna that although Atmanubhava is definitely an exalted state, there is nothing superior to Paramatmanubhava. Atmanubhava is inferior compared to Paramatmanubhava. This Atma, the Jivatma, is filled with so many other things. But the Paramatma is only full of all these Kalyana Gunas. So being able to experience the Paramatma is going to fill the devotee with bliss, which is everlasting. So in this 7th chapter, we have seen this first shloka for today. Overall, if you look at it, Swami Alavandar has given a concise summary of what this chapter talks about. So it is called as the Jnana Vijnana Yoga. Swami Ramanuja calls it as Adhyatma Yoga. So it deals with particular aspects. From this first shloka, as we can make out, the real nature. What is the real nature of the Paramatma, the Supreme Being? Who is the Supreme Being? The one who is the object of our worship. What is the real nature of this Paramatma? Then, if he is having all this nature, then why are we not able to see it? It is because it is concealed by Prakriti. So, what is that concealment? How he is concealed by Prakriti? That will be explained in these shlokas. Third, how we can remove this veil of delusion. How can this Maya veil be removed? This avarana of Maya. It is because of that Maya which that Prakriti has created that we are not able to understand his true nature. So how can we remove that delusion? By taking refuge in the Lord, by doing Sharanagati to him. Then the different types of devotees who are there in this world. People worship the Lord for various reasons. And there are various categories of devotees. Who are those bhaktas? That also the Lord will explain. And finally, he will conclude that out of all the types of bhaktas, the jnanis, the wise people, those who do bhakti with the jnana of the real nature of the Lord, those are called as the jnanis. And Krishna will say that, in my opinion, these jnanis are the best among my bhaktas. So all these things we are going to study in this 7th chapter. So we will start our, today we have done the first shloka. In the next satsang on Friday, we will continue with this. And we will study the remaining shlokas from the 7th chapter. So we are reaching the end of our time today. Let us offer Kritagnyata to the lotus feet of Sri Krishna and Guru, who have inspired us to start this satsang, to join this satsang. Let us pray that their blessings and grace will always be on us. No matter what difficulties come in our life, may we be blessed that we will never forget the lotus feet of the Lord. And whatever we seek to do to solve our problems, to go ahead in our life, let us understand that it is He, the Lord, and the Acharya. They are the ones who are doing it all, and we are mere instruments in their hands. They will guide us, they will help us to get along to the goal which we are seeking. So, we will stop here for today with this thought, and in the next satsang, we will continue with the second shloka of the 7th chapter. Thank you, everybody, for joining in. It was a real fortune for us that we are able to have this satsang on the Gita Jayanti day. We missed last week's satsang, but it is okay. We have made up by having this auspicious occasion to meet and to talk of the glories of the Lord. So just like Nampadwan had so much bhakti for the Lord, let the Lord bless us that we will also get maybe even a small tiny fraction of that bhakti, and we will be able to progress in our sadhana. Thank you, everybody. and we will meet again next Friday. Until then, namaskar.